Ladies and gents, welcome back. Now, it is an open secret in the media that when the government drops news on a Friday, it's usually damning news. And then when it drops news on a Monday, it's usually stuff that they are hoping they're going to get praise over. Now, the reason for this is because when news hits on a Friday, it largely gets ignored. People are excited about the weekend. And then the weekend happens. By the time they get back on Monday and start paying attention to the news again, there's other things in the news cycle. Now, if it's something that they want to be praised over, they'll drop it on a Monday so that, well, the news, their lackeys, will tell you about it all week, essentially. So why am I telling you this, and why is this important? Now, it may be speculation on my part, but we have word that, well, the inquiry into the use of the Emergencies Act report was meant to drop on the 20th this month of February, and we were supposed to get that report. Now, that is a Monday. Now, maybe I'm looking into this, or with my skeptical eyes, but they've just dropped information that they're going to be dropping it on all of us 3 whole days early so that it can be released on the Friday. Now, this comes after there was a lot of backlash that the government itself, Trudeau's cabinet, would get an advanced copy of their own come the 6th. Now, this was rejected, actually, and I'll get into that further in a little bit here. But here's the drop. The Commission will release its report on February 17th, 2023. Commissioner Rouleau will make a public statement shortly after the report is tabled in Parliament, which we anticipate will occur tomorrow afternoon. This was being actually given out to everybody yesterday. This statement will be streamed live on the Commission website. The report will be available on the Commission's website as soon as possible after it has been tabled and Commissioner Rouleau has finished reading his statement. The Commission will also endeavor to provide a link to all parties via email so that they can access French and English versions of the report without delay. Should there be much traffic on the Commission's website? I'm assuming there will be lots, but they've been pretty good with because they did video reports of the entire Commission. It was all done on the website there. Now, why am I calling this into question? Now, the dates were they got pretty controversial here. Let's just say. Now, the reason why a lot of this went public was, well, the Institute for Freedom and Justice put out a letter talking about that the February 6th date and why it was so contentious. In this letter, they wrote it out, the timing of the report, the public inquiry, and the work of the Commission is a matter of statutory obligation imposed on the government by Section 63(1) of the Act. And that is of the Emergencies Act. It requires that the final report is to be laid before each House of Parliament in accordance with Section 63(2). Although a provision was later inserted in the order on the recommendation of the Prime Minister that the Governor in Council should receive a report in advance of the Houses of Parliament. The Act makes no such express requirement. Now here, this is where it becomes an issue. At the outset of the public inquiry, you said that the focus will remain squarely on the decision of the federal government. Why did it declare an emergency? How did it use its powers, and were those actions appropriate? One of the outcomes of the public inquiry envisages by the Act is the report may be critical of the government or its agencies. The potential for such outcome explains the requirement of the Act that the report be laid only before the Houses of Parliament. Submission of advance report to the Governor in Council, and thereby the Cabinet, including the Prime Minister, carries a high risk of criticism concerning the transparency and integrity of the public inquiry process. Now, we've already had all kinds of issues with the Cabinet themselves and their transparency, for which Justin Trudeau ran back in 2015 on being a more transparent government. However, the process of redacting information was it was egregious, to say the least. There was client solicitor privilege incited when it had nothing to do with clients or solicitor privilege. There was cabinet confidence when it was communications between staffers. It was thrown out there, and it was thrown out there last minute so that it couldn't be caught and put to rest in the inquiry because of its time constraints. This may result in a loss of confidence by Canadians in the fairness of the commission and may mire the final report of the public inquiry in controversy. Notwithstanding the above, the wording of the order permits the commission to comply with the act and the order whilst maintaining the confidence of Canadians in the public order inquiry process itself. The timing of the report to the Governor in Council in accordance with the order is not later than February 6th, and the timing of the report to be laid before each House of Parliament is by February 20th. So this is the February 20th is statutory. Therefore, the full and final report to the Commission is ready on February 6th for submission to the Governor in Council. Then, surely the report can also be laid before each House of Parliament on the same day. We would therefore ask for the following assurance. Please confirm the Commission will submit its full and final report to the public inquiry to the Governor in Council and each House of Parliament simultaneously on the same day. We respectfully ask that you please provide a response to our two requests by 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, 1st of February 2023 by email to this email address. Now, what was interesting is they actually responded to this. Not directly, though. They didn't respond to it directly. They did it in a roundabout way. And how did the media report on this? Well, the media reported by saying the Emergencies Act Commission gets an extension to submit its final report to the government. Oh, this is where things get gross. They weren't granted an extension. They just essentially got rid of the February 6th date, the one that was in contention with everybody on that. The commission probing into the federal government's unprecedented use of the Emergencies Act in response to last year's Freedom Convoy protests has been granted more time to complete its report. Well, it basically just got rid of the February 6th date. The Public Order Emergency Commission, the POEC for short, was initially given a deadline of February 6th to submit its report to Cabinet, along with a final deadline of February 20th for the report to be submitted to Parliament. What you won't read in this article is the fact that that was actually submitted. That was at the request of the Prime Minister, as indicated in this letter that was sent to Justice Rouleau himself. Now, the statutory date, again, is the 20th of February. The later date is the absolute deadline under the Emergencies Act legislation, which requires the commission launched in response to the invocation of the act to submit its final report to the circumstances that led to the invocation to Parliament and to the public within 360 days of the act being revoked. The commission has requested more time to complete the report, so the order in council will be amended and the report will not be delivered to the government on February 6th. The report will be released by the legislated deadline, the statutory deadline. The government source told Global News, the source, an anonymous source, of course. The source spoke on background to discuss the matter. So, and the article keeps going. I'll leave a comment, or I'll leave a link in the description down below so you can see that. But yes, the report will be dropping today ahead of time. Now, take that what you will. Is this going to be dropped on the Friday because they believe that there's some sort of damning evidence in the report, something damning to the government? Like I said, normally, if it's damning to the government, they'll drop it on a Friday. They'll be intentional in that. Now, we see that it's statutory, and they even said that there was going to be an extension to the February 6th deadline so that they don't have to give it to the order in council, creating controversy. But now, will there be some sort of controversy trying to squash it when it comes to the media by bringing it 3 days ahead of time and then releasing it on the 17th. Let me know in the comments down below what you think is going to happen here. Obviously, it won't be many hours before the report actually drops and people are talking about what's actually in the report. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I'll definitely be reporting on that tonight in my live stream. I live stream every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9:30 Eastern time. So tune into that and we'll be going over what was in the report and how much of it we can figure out, because that is a huge, it's probably going to be a big dump of data for a Friday afternoon. We'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.